Kato, Kaelin. He keeps on trekking, LeVar, Burton. And columnist for USA Today, law professor Susan Estrich. And now, the star of Politically Incorrect, Bill Maher.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Please. Oh, Tom. Oh, you're just being nice to me to get to my guests. I know. I've been through this before. Anyway, we're happy to be here live from L.A. once again. And it seems like every time we come out here, there's big news. Yesterday, did you hear this? A big fire in Malibu at the home of Jeffrey Katzenberg, one of the DreamWorks team. I know. They asked him to describe it. He said it's kind of Backdraft meets the player. He's... Now, on to the really important news. Back in Washington, Senator Howell Heflin of Alabama, I believe, announced his retirement. I know, a sad day. But he is a little, he's old. I mean, he remembers when Old Spice was just called Spice. I mean, he is old. And it was good news, though, for his arch rival, Strom Thurmond, you know, he's 92. And he said now that Heflin's retiring, he's going to sleep easier at night and in the day and at breakfast, cabinet meetings. He's an old, tired man. Anyway, now here's the story. This was in Time magazine. They were talking about the environment. They said methane production. Methane. No, it's funny already, isn't it, methane? No, did you read this? 20% of it is produced from termite flatulence. And the other 80%, Ned Beatty. You know. No, but I was curious why so much from termite flatulence. I found out, don't mix wood with dairy. That's the thing. You can't... Now, did you hear this? Kmart, a couple weeks ago, they fired the head guy there, and they can't find. They're searching for a new CEO. Boy, isn't that just like it? Even they can't find a Kmart employee when they need one. And I thought this was interesting. At PBS, they have announced that they are going to do a Hispanic version of Sesame Street. In the first episode, Governor Pete Wilson shows up, and all right, if you're so clever, then make up your own punchline. Well, he denies services to Ernie and Bert. That's what it does. And that's not all. In a future episode, the letter A gets killed in a knife fight. Anyway, we've got a great show, and it's all been satirized for your protection. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Let's meet our panel. First, she was Michael Dukakis' national campaign manager in his race for the presidency. Today, she's a professor at the University of Southern California Law Center and columnist for USA Today, Susan Estrich. Hello, young lady. Thank you very much. What are they going to do for Kato?
Yeah, really.
He won an Emmy for his portrayal of Kunta Kinte in the landmark television series Roots. He is one of the hosts and producers of the PBS series Reading Rainbow, which just today is nominated for 6 Emmys. LeVar Burton. Thank you, buddy. Good to see you as always. All right, one of the premier comedy professionals of our time. He is the star of HBO's Larry Sanders Show, and my friend, Mr. Garry Shandling. finally, his entry into the world of celebrity can only be described as baptism by fire. Easily the most talked about man in the nation, Kato Kaelin. Thank you, pal. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. All right, panel. Welcome aboard.
Bill, before you go on, there's a lady who literally gave Kato a standing ovation. That, if I may say, that is one of the saddest things I've ever seen. This must be an easy room. I don't remember anybody in the trial standing up and moving out. Other than O.J., he was happy to see.
Jealousy is an ugly thing, Garry.
Did anyone give you a standing ovation?
No, no one. I think they were standing and then sat down when I came out.
Was that for me or Garry? Stand up for Garry one time.
Yeah!
A reluctant stand.
Yeah, a half stand.
Now, please, this young man has been through enough with...
I think that's the woman who was thumping on the wall. It's some sick groupie that broke in, jumped over the wall, and thumped into it and said, I got the map. I'm trying to get to see Kato. Leave me alone.
I think she's going to thump you when she's done.
I'm sorry, Bill. I was stunned by the standing ovation. And
Now, Garry, now I promise that this young man has been through an ordeal, a baptism by fire, as we said, and he's probably had enough of lawyers, and now he's had enough of comedians.
I'm a bad boy.
You're making the lawyers look good.
Sorry, Bill.
All right.
I thought it was funny, Bill.
All right. That's all that's important because you are the biggest star in America.
Oh, gosh.
No,
Stand
it's
again.
we were together at a dinner.
Yes.
In Washington a couple of weeks ago. Were you at that dinner?
No, but I've
heard
been to them in the past.
You've been at the, because you're in politics.
Same
Okay.
food from when you were there.
Same food. It was actually better then.
That veal was not
Right,
veal.
It's old.
Anyway, I got in a little bit of trouble. Not nearly the kind of... I got in a lot of trouble. Thank you, LeVar. Not nearly the kind of... I was hired to do this, by the way. I didn't just show up. And they thought I was out of line, and my question is, I think they're out of line. I think that Washington is out of touch. Let me just tell you a couple of things that they thought. These were a couple of jokes I think are innocuous. They were very upset about. Mayor Marion Barry. I said he had a...
Say no more.
He had a plan to get drugs off the street 1 gram at a time. Is that... Well, it's very funny.
Now, Bill, I'm offended by that. As a professional comedian, you do not do crack jokes in front of Marion Barry. You do hooker jokes. So that was the mistake you made.
Another one here was about Senator Phil Graham. I said his slogan is, for people who don't think Bob Dole is mean enough. I said he's so tough on immigration, he's going to have his wife deported. Now, well, his wife is Korean American. That's, you know. Now, LeVar, you're Korean. Do you find that offensive as a...
I think that why you got into trouble for that remark is because you are not of Asian extraction. Do you see what I'm saying?
So you're saying I should have had my eyes done before I did the gig? That seems unreasonable to me.
But
anyway,
it's okay. It's okay for an Asian American to tell a joke like that, but it's not okay for a white boy, which is clearly what you are.
You can only do it on your own camera. Okay, I have to take a break. We're way over time, but we will come back. Talking about how out of touch Washington is because I did a few jokes about Barry and Graham and Strom Thurmond. I said Strom Thurmond went to the Vietnam Memorial and said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." Thank you. They booed that.
You know what's amazing about it? Here are these guys, right, who play race politics for real, who are supposed to be running the country and divide people, try to get to the White House off race. You're a comedian. You're allowed to tell jokes. They do it for real, and they get away with it. It is really, really terrible. I mean, you said the F word, right, in front of the president?
It slipped out.
It slipped out. They do it to the president every single day. And then they turn on you and say, "How dare you say it?"
The president doesn't like the F word. He laughs at the word makes him laugh.
I noticed that. I noticed the president was laughing. The president was laughing at your stuff.
Thank you very much.
But Hillary wasn't.
No,
Hillary wasn't digging you at all. She wasn't. I don't know.
She was digging you.
I saw that.
She was a little bit distracted.
There was a little chicken on the lip. You saw that? She was.
And when you say chicken on the lip,
whoa!
I think we all know what that means.
What does it mean?
What happened?
No, what is chicken on the lip?
See, that's what they serve.
Right.
They had chicken.
Yeah. No, I thought it was veal.
But let me tell you something. I would do a
Maybe
joke
it was.
about the Republicans, and Clinton would laugh. I would do a joke about the Democrats, and Newt Gingrich would laugh. Then I did a joke about Jesse Jackson. They both laughed.
They both laughed.
They both love that one. Anyway, I was thinking Washington was out of touch, but they also say Hollywood is out of touch, and I think it's true. This is the headline in today's New York Post. Dave makes Jack gag. Jack Nicholson apparently was upset because Dave Letterman at the Oscars did this thing about where he did an impression of Jack Nicholson and he hit a car with a golf club.
He was using the wrong club. It's supposed to be a wedge. He had a driver.
No,
well, the driver would be the right club, I guess.
So my question is, I mean, who is more out of touch, Hollywood or Washington? I think it's a fair question.
That's a hard one.
Yeah, it's a toss-up.
That's really tough.
I mean, it's the same town, isn't it? Hollywood and D.C.
Well, you know what I noticed? Oh, I'm sorry.
I think politics is a branch of show business, if that's what you mean.
Well, they're both
Show
one
business is definitely a branch of politics.
Right. They're both one-industry towns, politics and show business. They both thrive on power, influence, ego. It's just that
they said, speaking of David Letterman, they said, remember when he moved to 11:30?
Power.
Remember when before Letterman moved to 11:30?
That segue. What happened? No, you made a segue from the political thing to speaking of Dave Letterman, and the audience was laughing, but you didn't realize what they were laughing at. It's because he was talking about. But how about your own hypocrisy?
HBO.
Huh?
I thought your show was on HBO.
It's on. Why, by the way, at 10:15 weren't you watching my show? If you had been,
The Larry Sanders Show here. When did you take over?
what about a little? What about a little free plug? What about a little free plug, my little friend? Couldn't you have said, well, I know it was between 10 and 10:30 because I was watching the Larry Sanders Show.
We have to take a break.
Got a problem with any of this? Well, write to us at Politically Incorrect, 514 West 57th Street, New York, New York, 10019.
Welcome back. Yes, sir?
I want to tell Gary, if it's a hung jury in the retrial, I'll mention that.
I only said
For you.
That's so sweet of you.
Go.
I just assumed a guy like you probably has an illegal cable hookup. That's all.
I'm so
Oh!
What?
Knock, knock.
Make it three. Make it three.
Knock, knock.
Do it 3 times.
Knock,
Who's there?
knock.
Who's there?
Oh, you know.
Oh my.
It wasn't Tony Orlando and Dawn, was it? But Garry, if I may.
So funny.
Oh, he ought to be a
He must be a
comedian.
comedian.
Which brings up an interesting point. I mean, as a comedian, you've been in situations like I was in Washington.
I think it happened. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Do you think there is a point that it is inappropriate?
I think that the inappropriateness goes all the way back to Will Rogers when he said to Roosevelt, "Hey, get out of the chair and blow me if you don't think it's funny." That kind of faux pas.
Does the word live television mean anything to you? You just don't care, do you?
That kind of faux pas is a long tradition among comedians. But actually, you said, "Oh, I don't intend to offend anyone."
Why not?
Then I say it's a gift, Bill.
You brought up FDR. There is a long-standing tradition of politicians trying to associate themselves with something positive. I mean, why do presidents always call the locker room? I mean, you know, your man, Dukakis, used to call the Buffalo Bills locker room. You know, he was in the stands when the Challenger blew up. He just had no instinct for being in the right place at the right time.
Funny hats are bad, too, yeah.
He was in Tank Boy, right?
Yes, yeah, he was. But he fashion.
That's right. I remember that.
But he was a good guy, you see.
Very good guy.
Yes.
I had a question.
You lost
there.
the show. But you try sitting in a chair for 5 days.
What is that?
You try sitting in a chair for 5 days. That's right.
What happened?
Well, you
Say it. Work with me, Garry.
Right?
All right, that's how
Stop.
I feel.
No more, man.
That's how I feel when I'm watching you. But listen,
It's okay.
Oh,
But
you've had a tough
Oh, no,
time.
I
Sid.
did.
You really
But
had
you know,
it.
if you can't laugh at yourself,
Well,
if you're
got no
grounded, you
choice.
can do anything, Susan.
Right.
If you're grounded, that's all that matters. It really is.
Is that the third plug?
I feel like
I'm
a
not sure
small
about
truck
grounded,
driver for some reason here.
Yes.
There we go.
I thought you did really well, by the way.
Thanks.
I mean,
Yeah.
Are
you
you
know,
talking about?
no, I mean,
No.
understand?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
because, you know, I've heard a lot of people say, especially Angelinos, they say, you know, this trial is costing $4 or $5 million to the taxpayer money. I say, for the entertainment value we are getting every day on television. I mean, Waterworld cost $170 million.
Right.
It's a piece of crap.
Two drink minimum. Two drink minimum.
Seriously, when you got off that one about, you know, we don't go for the same parts, I said, not really. Especially on daytime, you don't usually find that kind of good humor.
I got a lot of coaching from Rusty the Bailiff. A lot.
From Rusty the Bailiff?
Don't do it.
On People's Court.
Right.
Yeah.
You weren't the only one who came in prepared material. Anyway, we have got to take a break, but we will come back. Okay, welcome back, and fellas, please. We're doing so well, the network has just given us more time.
How come Garry got the girl?
Because
He's Shandling.
he's the man.
Yeah.
He's the guy.
Kato, let me tell you something. You can get the girl, too.
Oh,
Yeah, you
Any girl, right? There she is, right there.
they're everywhere.
You must be having a real hard time with chicks these days. As ever, by the way. I saw that picture of you, and we held up the pictures yesterday from the New Yorker, the Andy Leibovitz pictures.
Ah.
You doing? I mean, you see.
I am no sort of homo, but I wanted you.
I've heard it before.
But anyway, let me take.
Oh, I'd like to see you on the witness stand, Bill.
Let me take one more stab at this, because it is my job to take.
Okay.
Oh no, You heard that. I didn't say that.
Start.
Yes, we were talking about, I mentioned Jack Nicholson. I was saying the people in Washington couldn't take a joke at themselves, how awful they were, but then Jack Nicholson couldn't take a joke at himself because he was in front of the same kind of body as those Washington people, his peers, and Letterman dared to make a joke at his expense.
But, you know, isn't it crazy what they've done to David Letterman? I mean, I thought he was funny. Am I the only one? You know? I mean, it really is. It's just like what they do in politics. It's just like what they'll do to you. I mean, they let somebody, you know, the more you succeed, the more people have to tear you down and take you apart. It's really kind of awful.
Well, he was fantastic. Gary, you did the Academy Awards. Was Letterman... I thought he was right on.
Yeah, I thought Dave was funny.
I did, too. Well, that brings up something I've always thought, which is that the dirty little secret of show business is that even when they love you, they hate you. That they really want you to have a terrible problem. Could be the source of your popularity. No, I mean... No, I just mean... I mean that they sense that you are a man with some problems in your life.
And people like you for that.
Well, at least they sense that I'm a man. I'm happy about that.
Right. Which brings up another interesting topic, which is what we call artist right of portrayal. Now, when they made the movie True Lies, did you see that movie? The bad guys were the Arabs.
Yes.
And the Arabs protested because they were portrayed as terrorists, and the Arabs were very mad. In fact, they were so mad they blew up a building. In Basic Instinct, there was a very minor theme that the woman in it was also gay. She had a bisexual love interest, and the gays protested because they thought, oh, were you saying all gays are ice-pick murderers? And, you know, get over yourself. The movie isn't about gays. I mean, don't you think that an artist has a right to portray what he sees, even if it's politically incorrect to a certain group?
Well, I think if it's an actor going into a part, no matter what, if it's real, every film will be a documentary.
Yeah.
It has to be make-believe, doesn't it?
But what if Adolf Hitler was a nice guy in a movie? I mean, what if there was a movie in which Adolf Hitler was portrayed?
You know what?
Yes.
There is
You know,
a movie where he's a nice
Right.
guy. It's called Triumph of the Will.
Yeah.
It's by Lenny Riefenstahl,
Yeah,
and
I
it
know.
shows him playing with his dogs.
Right.
Who? The dogs with the little...
And they were not Jewish guys.
The dogs have that little mustache.
Yeah, I saw that.
Hitler ruined that for everybody, by the way.
The mustaches.
I wanted to wear that little...
Yeah, you can't wear the helmets anymore.
That'd be a good look on you.
I think so.
No.
The way that artists portray real people, I think, is very tricky because I happen to know the real butthead, and he's upset. Because he's a very...
I'm okay with it.
He's a very...
Nice guy.
He's a very nice guy, intelligent guy,
And he's not a butthead?
family man, and he's upset that he's... the same for Beavis. Beavis who lives next door to me and pays his own rent. He is a wonderful...
Why don't you
But
tell
that's
the joke?
cartoon money.
As long as you're up his case.
No, I'm not telling that joke.
Why don't you
No,
tell...
I'm not telling that joke because that's a difference between you and I. I know what's appropriate. I know. I
Well,
will
let me
not
tell
tell
you-
that joke.
okay, why don't I
There's a
tell
joke
you
that I
again?
did on...
It's a joke?
No, I won't tell that
It's
joke.
a joke that...
No, it is too harsh
Then I'll
for
tell.
you.
Can you whisper it?
This is a joke.
Yes, I had nothing to do with this joke. This is not my joke, by the way. All kidding aside.
It's his
You know
joke.
let me just tell you who wrote this joke.
Okay.
Rosa Lopez.
Then we'll need an interpreter for the joke.
We were in Aspen last week at the HBO Comedy Festival, and Garry told us to a couple of people, and it went around like wildfire. Albert Brooks, in his little symposium, he was so enamored with the joke that he actually told it. And he said, you know, here's the deal.
Is this going to hurt my feelings?
Yes. And I'm going to tell you something. This is the first time I am with you on this. It's going to hurt mine, too. It really is. I think this is inappropriate.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, God.
This is Garry Shandling in Aspen.
No. Oh, you're such a...
He said, Nicole... He said,
The winner.
This is gay. He said, Nicole is gone. OJ's in jail. How bright is Kato? He's still not in the big house. LeVar, you're Korean.
Will Rogers Blue who?
You want me to kick his ass for you?
Yeah, man. No. I can laugh. I think you're...
No, you can make... honest to God, I apologize.
You should for telling that. No.
Did you... Did you laugh at the joke when he said...
No, I didn't. In fact, I stood up
and...
and protested and walked out of the room.
And wrote it down.
and stole it.
It's harder than the politicians one. Because every time I hear these jokes, not the very funny one, it's, it's good. But it's like then I sit and I think to myself, there are these two people who are dead. And this is like a really rather serious business.
Yes, it is. But let me tell you something. That is absolutely true. But we know from being comedians, if you took away every bit of subject matter that was tragic, you would have nothing to joke about.
Right.
And people need the release.
In almost
the most tragic situations, they have to have some sort of release. I think part of the problem with the man you were with, running for president,
I've been with a lot.
Michael Dukakis. Michael Dukakis, a lot of them liked his policies and stuff, but he was humorless.
Yeah.
I mean, he had no sense of humanity. Remember at the debate, they asked him, they said, what would you do if your wife was brutally raped? And he said, I'd form a committee. I'd study the situation.
And I'm against the death penalty. No, but, it's true. It really is true. He isn't really a humorless man. I feel like I need to... You know him, LeVar. He's a nice man, but publicly he came across that way.
I do, yeah.
Why?
I passed that one off.
If he had run for president with that thing around his head, he could have done a lot better.
Did you wear that? Was that from Star Trek or was that in Roots?
That's from a Pep Boys. Brand oil filter.
That's what it is. It's an air filter, isn't it?
There you go. And it needs a change.
It's sparks and plugs, isn't it? Yeah,
Thank you very much.
First check on 3.
How do you know Michael Dukakis?
His son and I are good friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And your impression of him? No, do the impression.
Put on your knees.
No, I think Michael is a very intelligent man who just didn't know how to go for the jugular. His problem is that he wimped out, and that's why he lost the election. He would not sink to the sort of politics that Bush was playing.
Susan?
I worked for every Democrat who lost in the 80s, in 80, 84, 88.
You worked for Carter?
Yeah.
Mondale?
Kennedy.
And Dukakis?
Ferraro.
Wow.
Were there any others? Right?
Talk about a string of losers.
You know what's good about what?
How do you get up in the morning?
Word association.
Well, the good thing about it is I didn't do anything in 1994 and they lost without me. So it couldn't be me. I think politics is one of the most disgusting games going right now. I mean, it really is kind of awful what we do to people. And, I don't mind the jokes people tell, but what politicians do to each other is, sort of a national disgrace. I agree with LeVar. I mean, Michael Dukakis just didn't know how to get in the gutter and toss mud with both hands.
That's right.
And you can't succeed in politics today
unless you're willing to do that.
And the worst of it is, if you're not some kind of weirdo, you can't survive in politics anyway because there'll be.
But I can understand how someone might say, well, if you can't get in the gutter and fight with George Bush, how are you going to do it with Saddam Hussein? Right. I mean, if you're not man enough, and you know what I mean by that. Chicken on the lip, my friend.
Yeah.
Right, chicken on the lip, yeah.
Chicken on the lip kind of man.
Right.
I mean, isn't that a valid point to be made, that we don't really want or shouldn't have a gentleman president?
Well, I think that we should.
We should. We need a...
I want a woman president. And I don't have a joke about this. I think we should have a woman president. But I don't think there's anything funny about a woman president. I think we should have a woman president.
But I'd vote for one, too. Susan Ryan.
Well,
I mean, I kind of like the president we have.
Good. He's great.
I like men presidents, too.
Yeah,
he laughed at my material.
The joke you did about the spoon and fork was so... Oh, that was Clinton's. I'm sorry.
That's right. He went up before me, and he was very funny.
He was very funny.
He was a little too funny.
How was that for you?
it was difficult. I said to him, you know, don't be too funny because I got to follow you. You're my opening act.
And he was
yeah, because the Bloodworth Thomasons wrote his material. And we know how funny designing women is.
I think you and I have proven that comedians are angry, deeply angry, bitter people.
bitter and neurotic, right? No? A little? A little?
A little neurotic.
A little neurotic, yes.
Well,
it's frustrating to me that Bill Clinton is Bill Clinton's my generation. Bill Clinton is the first president of, it's hard for me to think that this is the best my generation has to offer. Of my generation, I mean, I guess Arlo Guthrie was tied up. At least
You're not available?
at least Arlo would have inhaled. I don't want to go back to that, Bill, because you know that's dated, but, you know.
I disagree, because we started this show talking about being in touch or out of touch. I mean, Bush did not know what a supermarket scanner was.
Right.
I mean, Clinton screws around, at least he gets out. Anyway, I think it's timely that we've run out of conversation just as we've run out of time.
I got a little tired.
We have to wrap up. I have to thank my guests for a memorable show. Thank you so much. Brian, Kato, Kaelin, LeVar, Burton, Susan Estrich, and Mr. Garry Shandling. See you tomorrow night with Jay Leno, Daryl Gates, George Clooney, and Gabrielle Carceres. Thank you, folks.